Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fire Emblem Heroes. Now that we're nearing the end of the voting gauntlet, today I'll be doing a showcase of all the ridiculous people I have on my friend list, and the crazy plus 10 builds that they've given to their favorite units. Believe me, it's a real treat to see some of these units. But before we go and do that, let's do one more thing. Let me quickly go and vote for Taco Meme Fujin Dorito Initial D Pineapple. But man, I have to say, this whole voting gauntlet was a disaster. I mean, originally I supported Shahotun Carol, but that didn't go too well because we missed the multipliers by a little. And then I decided to support Blino, but that didn't end well either, as you already know. So in the end, I decided to support the pineapple because I wasn't going to jump on that desperation bandwagon, and it looks like that might just pay off, because the extra support that Shauna is now getting because of her 2x miracle might actually be her undoing. Without multipliers, Shauna cannot activate her desperation, and she will simply die painfully to archer fire in a fair fight. Of course, I could be wrong and she'll take it all, but it's up to guys like me who actually save my flags for the last moment to make sure that does not happen. But anyway, though I will admit that I kind of like Shauna myself because of that horrible sound she makes when she attacks. Huh? Anyway, enough of that. Let's go and take a look at these units. So first we have my buddy Tessuna. It seems that he's built up this knee now to +8, but otherwise it seems relatively vanilla. And there's this man with his wonderful Lloyd face cancer. Oh my god, he's got wrath on that. Dude, he must really like face cancer because look at all these wonderful skills he's got on Lloyd. Gotta love dedicated players with their dedicated units. This is beautiful. Too bad for his face, that's not beautiful. But the unit itself, beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. Now we have May, +10. Bundle of Energy with Blair Wolf, Lancebreaker, Resploy. Oh my god, dude. Okay, alright. This thing, I can see this thing actually tanking Reinhardt. And 34 res, yeah, that should be enough. And then rip his face off with a Blair Wolf. That's the most terrible thing I've ever seen. I don't know why someone would do this to May, but you know what? It's actually pretty effective to counter Reinhardt and horse units. And we have Best Ruka North America. Alright, this one is a stock build, one that I'm really familiar with, and you know, I was actually going to build myself a +10 Baruka myself, but people have been really catching on that Baruka is actually really strong. And it's true, she's really good. I really like Yulinchi myself. So, this one is packing Ignis, Distant Counter, and Slayer's Axe. With Quick Riposte, if this horrible thing... Oh, that's only a distant defense too, though. If this horrible thing were to sit on a defense platform, she can slaughter just about any unit in the game. Archers, no problem. She'll slaughter them too. Baruka is an extremely powerful character, and I recommend not to underestimate her. Alright, next we have Japanese dude with City Mongolian Lin. Looks like, though, that they're just aiming for top scores, because Ether, yeah, that's no good in terms of actually using the unit. Brave Bow, Life and Death, okay, alright, you know, that's more than enough to tear people apart, so skill's not really needed. But, it's pretty much as stock as it goes for trying to get high scores on the arena. Still, very powerful unit. Okay, now we have Ike. It would appears that this man may have watched Magic Ike on YouTube and has decided to turn him into something like this. Well, now that they've seen my Magic Ike, I can see why they would do something like that, because Magic Ike is actually really tanky, and being able to kill Reinhardt is a disgusting thing and should never be underestimated. Although the Aether is not very good, I don't know why he's aiming for top arena scores with a +7, but, you know, some people. Alright, now we have our friend here with Happy Vampire Henry. It looks like, though, that it's a stock build, so it's nothing too interesting to see here. And then we have Brave Ike with Irvan, Distant Counter, Quick Riposte. I don't really like this build, to be honest with you. With the problem with distant counter is that it cancels out Irvan's ability. See, what I would prefer to do with Brave Ike, and I don't even think he's got minus speed either. Disappointment. You get a plus 10, you didn't use a minus speed. Thing is that with Brave Ike, is that you want to get hit twice. You want to be slow. You want to get hit twice. You don't want to suddenly, stick a counter in between your attacks. The main thing about him is that he takes 2 attacks, build up his Aether, and then rip someone's face off. But if you do this, then, well, you might end up getting your face ripped off because your resistance is not very high. It's workable, but it's not very high. So that's the problem I find with people who put distant counter on Brave Ike. I believe there are better units for that kind of task. I think you should really play to his strength and stop listening to people like Game Press or Gamepedia and, think about your unit a little. But that's, whatever. People can build their things as they like. Then we have Gordon Freeman, plus 10. Now, I don't see many of that. So when I saw that in the arena, I really decided to hurry and add this guy to my friend list. So this guy, knowing full well that he cannot, do much with his speed, decides to pack everything into his attack. Of course, he's got Bow Breaker, so pretty much any archer unit will be completely annihilated by this horrible being. By this Shota Drog. So yeah, so when Drog was a kid, that's what he was. He's like this, and he kills people in a single exchange of 2 shots. Pretty disgusting. 48 attack is but with Death Blow he goes up to 56. 56 times 2 is pretty scary. Anyway, next we have Ash with Nino plus 10. Stock build though, but pretty damn powerful. So Fury with distance defense would add to 36 resistance. That's quite high. And not to mention, her defense is pretty decent too. I mean, you usually think about mage like, oh, they've got pitiful defenses, you send an archer and then you shoot them in the face and then they die. But 26 with distance defense, not to mention her exceedingly high speed, means that she might just actually survive an archer fire and rip your face off. Now, I haven't punched the defenses on a damage calculator yet, but 32 should be enough to tank a certain amount of Brave Bull attacks. And if you get buffs, preferably from Erika, I believe she's more than capable of surviving, even if her HP is a little low. But yeah, I like this build. Anyway, now we have Hawawa. So Hawawa's got a Felicia with a close counter and guard. Now, guard I can understand very, very well. The poison dagger, okay, I can understand that as well. Defense ploy, disgusting. Attack ploy, very disgusting. So this Felicia is built to be a horrible creature. Now, the close counter, I'm a bit with it. You can only really counter a few things, but you know what, though? Because of her high speed, she might actually survive certain people's attacks. And if they happen to be infantry, whoop, their face gets ripped off. If they happen to be a dragon, whoops, their face gets ripped off. They won't be able to do a damn thing to Felicia. This thing can counter dragon like some kind of dragon slayer, I guess. That the poison dagger and close counter means that dragons, they will get completely obliterated. On the other hand, though, I feel like she could use some more stat boosts with Fury, especially if she's going to be using Death and Attack Ploy, but her resistance is already very high, so this is a very, very disgusting unit. Sure, her attack is like nothing, but once her Glacies proc, nothing in this world will survive that attack. It's absolutely deplorable, and I'm glad to see units like that on my friend list. The guard also makes sure that, people won't be able to use their abilities, which is very, very strong. People should give that skill a little more use, but, well, in general, people use quick riposte to make sure that they actually do need to kill someone or they use something else. but guard must not be underestimated. Anyway, this thing is a defensive juggernaut and is horrifying, and I want to build something like that down the line. I do not want to be using my Dragon Emblem team and run into this horrible thing. So that's Hawawa 5208, Infantry Dragon Slayer. Now we go to Miku. Miku's got a stock Hector, nothing worth looking at. Then we have Robin. Well, this is pretty stock as well as Robin goes, but Robin is an incredible unit. I mean, I don't care what people say. I don't care what tier he's in. He's a very good unit. I really like the way his stats are like. And I really like Triangle Adapt and the Raven combo. It's very, very good. You can stop people. I don't know if he can... He might actually be able to stop Reinhardt with 32 resistance. Though I'm not sure if he can survive Moonbow Plus. But he'll do a pretty decent job in surviving the metagame. Crush a lot of people. And yeah, pretty much just brings death to any sword unit thanks to Swordbreaker. This is a very, very disgusting build, and I really like Robin. I don't know why people put him in such shit tiers, because he's an incredible unit. People should put him to use more, and being that he can come in 3 stars like me now, you should really consider something like that. Anyway, we have my buddy here, Blimp. So Blimp actually is a armor specialist. I would prefer that Blimp be showing his or her bling now, because I know that person has a plus 10 Blanino with a whole bunch of stuff, really. I can't evaluate it because they forgot to put it up, but, well, it's pretty strong. Now we have my buddy here, Sonya, with, well, Dark Excalibur, Swift Sparrow, Green Tonebreaker, the works. She's actually an incredible unit. I mean, you compare her to Julia with her high resistance, though this one's speed is nothing to scuff at either. This is actually a really, really powerful build. And with Quicken Pulse and Moonbow, she can crush a hell of a lot of things. People should really, really, really look into getting Sonya, because Sonya is an incredible unit as well. Yeah, I mean, you know, she's kind of slow, but with a couple modification surgeries, she turned into a respectable 38. It's not that high in 40 plus 10 land, but it's respectable. And if you have G Tonebreaker, well, poor Nino, your face is gonna get ripped off. And Swift Sparrow, that puts her at 42, and that's not bad at all. That's really not bad at all. So, and then you have this, and Resploy, you are looking at destruction if Sonya gets near you. So, this horrible unit by Nero Angelo is disgustingly powerful and is a good example of how Sonya should be properly built. Okay, now we have this dude here with Barst, Zheng Yao Mei. So this guy, he slaps Slaying Axe and Distance Counter on this whole creature. And to be honest, this is actually pretty decent, because resistance of 21, you can still tank Reinhardt because your HP is pretty high. So this thing can counter Reinhardt and rip their face off. He's got pretty high defense, 34 defense. So archers and such, they might not be able to kill him because he has high HP and defense. Though his speed may cost him, and it might get him double, but he should in general be able to survive most archers aside from the strongest ones. If they're brave. If they're non-brave archers, I don't think they'll be able to kill him. And then there's Quick Riposte, of course, for these kinds of builds. So you're looking at something that, takes damage and then rip their face off with Bonfire. Barst is actually a very strong hero, and I feel that he's a little bit underrated sometimes. You know, usually people think about him as, reposition, kind of like Selena Miku, but I think he has a lot of potential, and this dude really brings out the potential of Barst with this build. It's really disgusting. Sure, the 21 res you can't really fix, besides, you know, using it to stop Reinhardt and the likes, but it's, you know, it's enough for what you need to do. Though Moonbow might, actually I need to punch that through a calculator as well. Moonbow build might be able to do it, but in general though, I think 21 res green should stop Reinhardt. I mean, worst comes to worst, you can swap out Slaying Axe for Emerald Axe, and guaranteed you can stop any Reinhardt in the world. This thing is disgusting, and Drive Attack and Panic Ploy is just... If Reinhardt decides, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get a buff, bleh. Oh, I'm City Mongolian Lin, I'm gonna go get a buff, bleh. Everybody else, bleh. Maybe except for Leo, that nobody uses. Okay, now, Etheric with Future Witness Lucena. So let's see what this Lucena does. Oh, you do Ether, this encounter, Renewal. It's, well, not all that interesting. It seems like it's an arena build for getting scores, but having Renewal is kind of useful, I guess. Renewal and Falchion, I don't even know how to pronounce that stupid word. We'll just call it Falchion. Anyway, so that thing can actually survive pretty decently against melee units, and if you survive, you obviously can renewal that damage away and continue fighting. But that crippling resistance to, of course, our favorite small hand friend and other mage units could potentially put her in danger, but that high speed is good enough to keep her in the game. She's a pretty decently built tank, and I do love the double renewal setup. I mean, yeah, she can't share it with anyone, but, you know, she'll work as a warrior. Panic Ploy, though, I mean, it's on a seal, so whatever. Drive Dev. It seems like with Drive Dev, this person intends to have a tanky team, so she'll probably have something to back her up against the likes of Reinhardt. Strong as he is, he's only one man. A good team will be able to stop any Reinhardt. Now there's my buddy Mick Boss. He's had his taco meme all this time, since the beginning of the game. And this is like literally his first 5-star hero. So we talked about what he does, and he hasn't really changed the stock build much, but he slapped on Savage Blow because he liked the idea of AoEing targets. I might eventually think of doing something with Savage Blow down the line, but it'll have to depend on if I can cook up some synergy. But anyway, that's just my buddy and his first Takumi that he barely built. He just kind of left it on his friend list. Alright, next dude is Achapi with another Lucena. This one is weird. I don't even know what to say about that. Death Blow with low speed? I don't know. It's kind of awkward. And this is a really awkward build. So I don't know what I could really say about this. I mean, you don't even share your health. You just kind of pivot around. So this build, it's gonna need a little bit of work. But, you know, it's plus 10 Lucena. So that's something to look at, right? Alright, so now we have 92. 92 with Steady Breath and Quick Riposte 3. Black Knight Burger King. I actually prefer Quick Riposte far more than Wrath on Burger King, but that's a topic for another day. I'll show you why, like, when I actually make a video about Burger King, if you guys are interested in watching that. I mean, it's been like weeks since he's been released, so I don't know if people even care to look at that, but I might just do it. And you have your general Steady Breath to power up his Ether. Ether is a very good move on Burger King because he can acquire it easily from Bike, so he can get Steady Breath and Ether at the same time. And not to mention, with Ether, he can really stay in a battle forever, pretty much. His low resistance is a bit of a pain, but, you know, you have Ward Armor, and then you can equip yourself with Distance Defense, and Burger King can actually be a very powerful unit, despite being only 40 plus 1. If he ever becomes plus 10, I can turn him into some horrifying beast that will destroy everything. Okay, now we have our buddy here, Hiya! With a 40 plus 10, Ryoma Lobster. Raditz Ryoma Lobster Lord. Okay, so he appears to be using Aether and Steady Breath as well, which works. Normally Aether I don't like using because, you know, it's mostly just to pad arena scores, but with Steady Breath that actually puts him to use easily. I also am a huge fan of Attack Smoke, so after somebody strikes Ryoma probably will heal. If he doesn't heal, well, he'll inflict Attack Smoke on a large number of units. Ryoma's defenses are not too poor either. I mean, yeah, 25 resistance is a bit low, but it's workable. And if you were to slap on, well, not HP plus 3, if you were to slap on, like, distance defense on Roma, he's looking at 31 resistance, which is actually pretty respectable, considering his decent speed. Not to mention, you know, your advantage and all that wonderful jazz. Roma is not to be trifled with. He's a very good unit. Yeah, you have, like, Era nowadays, but Era, well, you know, she's still Red Sword, and there's still plenty of ways to stop one. And if you decide to use Guard, well, you know, too bad. You can't do much to me. You can't use your stupid move, and then I'll obliterate you. But anyway, that's being said, Ryoma is a solid unit, and I'm glad to have something like that on my friend list. I can't wait until they actually have, like, one of these things where you can actually use your friend's unit outside of Phoning Gauntlet, like a co-op mode or something. Then you will really want to add wonderful people on your friend list. Okay, and now we have this dude here with Ike. This dude is not following the tenets of Magic Ike. Very sad. You see his resistance? That's poor resistance right there. 18, that's out of control low. And you also have a Steady Breath. So this dude is basically set his Ike to be, you know, just Aether Steady Breath and stay in the game against physical units. But the problem with that is that if you're going to do distance counter, okay, you really want to beef up your resistance. You really want to do that. So you don't want to give yourself +3 speed shield, seal. You don't want to do that. You want to give yourself distance defense seal at the very least. Look, being able to use counter, a distance counter, doesn't matter a damn thing because, you know, if your resistance is low like that, City Mongolian Blade is going to come here and shoot you, and you won't be able to hit back, making this weapon completely neutral. If you go up against a mage, your mage will obliterate your face. I mean, look, even with +3 speed, you only go up to 38 speed, you know? Whatever, dude. You're gonna get your face ripped off by any any mage out there. So, putting too much in one basket, you have a problem with that. So, you know, your Ragnell is not being used properly. It's neutralized. I mean, you know, if you're gonna run Steady Breath Ragnell, you should really consider something like that. Otherwise, there's better users for Steady Breath in a melee situation, which I can show you again later with my current unit. Anyway, next dude is Yukimura. This dude added me to friend list, says, I am Faye, add me to friend list. I love Faye a lot, but, well, this build is quite stock. A free-to-play player build. But hey, at least they like Faye, and I love Faye too. Okay, next dude is Tetsu with Roy. Roy's our boy, and I really like his distance counter build. See, with Binding Blade, you get +2 def and +2 res. This is really good, you know. This is why I built Julia to become a tank. And if you have basic balanced defense like this, you're looking at 35, 34. That's really good defenses. Yeah, I would prefer to put something like distance defense over quick and pulse. If you do that, you're looking at 60 defense. 65. 40 and 39. That's really high. You can stop Reinhardt with something like that, and, well, if you were to sit in a defense platform, you're gonna find something that's pretty much completely unremovable. But, well, being an infantry unit, though, I can also see the appeal in Quick and Pulse, because then you can combine with Infantry Pulse, so you can start slashing at people and slash them again with Gale Force. And that Wings of Mercy, oh my god, dude, I don't even know. That's disgusting. I would prefer to use Quick Riposte, but that's disgusting. He might do something with that, but I don't know, though. His speed is a little lacking, so as much as I do like Gale Force, maybe not so much on Roy. I would prefer something like, maybe like like a Bonfire or an Ignis, and then Roy will become a violent spike wall. You know, slap a Quick Riposte, done. Anybody that hits you gets their face ripped off. They won't be able to do much damage to you thanks to your resistance and defense and your high HP count. Roy is a powerful unit. I love Roy a lot, so I'm glad to see someone build Roy like that. Anyway, next we have this dude with a kitty paddle Felicia. I think this kitty paddle thing on Felicia thing is a little bit overrated. if you're gonna use that, you might as well just stick with using Halloween Sakura, because Halloween Sakura actually has the attack to put it to use. If you were to slap it on Felicia, I mean, you're still gonna be playing her the same way with Glacies, but the problem with Glacies is that it tends to overkill as it is. So even if you do kill someone, you know, I feel like you're not really putting Kitty Paddle to use. Kitty Paddle should be used as something that you can burst something down outside of using your skills. So that's something more along the lines of Kagero and Halloween Sakura, not Felicia. That's not in her territory. So I don't like the Kitty Paddle on Felicia build. It's not very good. I don't like it at all. But otherwise, you know, cancel affinity and all that disgusting jazz, that's good to stop someone like Robin, for instance, that I showed you earlier. That will rip his face off. There's nothing Robin can do against this horrible creature. I mean, 39 resistance and cancel affinity. Robin might as well just go and find the nearest rope and hang himself, because that's what's going to happen when he fights Felicia. But again, Kitty Paddle, not necessary for a build like Felicia. It's honestly a waste. But man, Death Ploy, oh my god. I mean, I guess I could see kind of an appeal of using Death Ploy and that, but if you're gonna do that, at the very least, make sure your Felicia's 40 plus 10, because your 35 attack is... Okay, next dude is Lao Sing. Shooting Star has distance counter on killer lands. What the hell? What the hell? Killing lands? Okay, so, alright, I get what this dude is doing. I mean, this is a fairly stock dancer build. You have your Wing of Mercy, and you can just teleport all over the place. But instead of relying on her native Sapphire lands to distance counter and rip off the faces of red mages, she's got, well, a killer lands to rip someone's face off with a Moonbow. Though you'll often find with Moonbow to not be enough to do too much damage. But I guess, you know, in certain situations, you could use her to finish someone off. But honestly, I don't like Moonbow. It's a little overrated. It's killer or slaying with Moonbow, a little overrated. It doesn't do enough damage to really make enough difference. You know, it's there, and it allows Ashura to do a good chunk of damage. So, you know, if she really needs to kill someone off, well, that Wings of Mercy flying over someone's face and proccing Moonbow should be enough to do the task. Her attack is good enough to use it, though honestly I would use Slaying Lance and only run a build like that. But anyway, that's how they want to do it. So let's go to the next one. We have Aira. Well, this dude doesn't really care much for Aira. Didn't really finish building her yet. But, well, we already know what Aira can do, so there's no point in me talking about Aira. Alright, next we have another Ryoma. This one is a stock Ryoma, using the ancient build of Fury and Vantage 3. Oh, and his native home speed plus 3. I would use something else other than attack plus 3, probably a distance defense, but, you know, that's very good. 60 attack is nothing to scoff at, you know, and if you were to enter Vantage range and Moonbow, there's a large number of things he can kill with Moonbow. It's not to be underestimated. This is a very solid build. It's very stock, but it's time-tested, and it's a solid build. I like it. Now, let's move on to the next. We have Kamdu Man with Boobas Rex. The problem with Boobas Rex is her attack. I mean, her attack is not that bad, but not all that great either. I wouldn't use Brave Axe on her, even though she comes with it. I think in something like Churchy, she can use it better, even though I can't pronounce her name properly. Gale Force, yeah, Gale Force is pretty funny, you know. But then you use Death Blow. I mean, Death Blow, good. Now you can actually put your Brave Axe to use, but then, you know, Gale Force is not likely going to be procced as easily, but not that she's going to do anyway, with her 28 speed. That's something more lines of Cordelia to do, not Camilla. You know, it's something Tana would do, not Boobas Rex. Still, you know, you have your stock hit and run, and, you know, if there are some things that she can kill with Death Ploy, I mean, 34 resistance is pretty high, so, you know, you can make a Eastern Standard Time out of her, Est and just use Death Ploy, lower the resistance, and then use Brave Axe, chop chop, and then they die. But Gale Force, no thanks. That's probably not going to work as often as you may think. You need to hit and run, back away, get tossed backwards with reposition. Yup, that's a solid Fire Emblem character. But still, I feel like I would much rather use it on Churchy. Then you don't have to rely on Death Ploy to do extra damage. But still, Death Ploy is disgusting. It's always good to see Death Ploy used on some unit, because that means they've sacrificed an important unit. They've either sacrificed Harvest or they sacrificed Summer Gaius for it. But regardless, I love that dedication. And then we have Guidance 3, which, as you know, allows Boobas Rex to carry people across the river with her massive boobs. That's a wonderful move, and I intend to show you my own Boobas Rex down the line, once I get her to plus 10. She's a plus 9 right now, like that dude's. Okay, now we have another Japanese dude with a Hana. Though, I'm not too crazy about this build. I mean, Ruby Sword? Okay, I like Ruby Sword. But Ether? Distance counter? Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, she can counter Mage with 30 resistance. She might even be able to counter Reinhardt if she wasn't carrying Ruby Sword, but, you know, she can really lay the smackdown on someone like me now, or something like that. But honestly, though, with Hana, I would prefer to use something like a Brave Sword and put her speed to use. Maybe not even distant counter, just run something like Life and Death or something. Just chop things up. Not using any skills either, because her attack is already quite high, so with a high enough attack, I think Gale Force would be good enough to chop, 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 move on, chop, 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 move on, chop, chop, chop. Especially since you're going to run Quick and Pulse anyway, you might as well do something like that. But yeah, this build is subpar. I don't like it. They could build Hana better. Anyway, that's just one example build. I'm sure I can come up with something else for Hana down the line. Alright, now we have with Cecilia. Okay, so Cecilia's a horrible monster, you know. You all know about Blade and you know those things. This guy decides to build Cecilia with Close Counter and Ether. Now, that is disgusting because, you know, if you're properly buffed and somebody were to hit you, you might actually be able to finish them off with a close counter. But otherwise, it's mostly just for points. But, you know, with Hoenn Cavalry, honestly, you don't even need to worry about your A slot as much as normal characters because Blade can add, like, up to, 24 extra damage? So, yeah, that's pretty disgusting. And, you know, with close counter, you can... But then again, I say this as if it's amazing. I mean, she does only have, like, 23 defense on a plus 10, 48... spot to kill 33 resistance, so already enough for Reinhardt, but that makes her invulnerable to Reinhardt, and she's got 20 something. No, that might not be enough to stop the strongest archers, but it should be enough. If I were using this Cecilia, I would probably should be enough to stop archers if you use Bolt Breaker. Anyway, I also think that if you're going to use close counter, though, you should use Vantage. Vantage with Blade. That's disgusting. You will rip someone's face off. Of course, you know, if you have something like Moonbow or something charged, Moonbow, or in their case, Iceberg charge, face completely ripped off. That's just out of control. So, you know, I think there's better options than Green Tone Breaker, but, you know, this dude is just running this for points anyway, as you can see evidently in Aether. But that's plus 10 Cecilia for you. Okay, so now we have another dude with plus 10, City Mongolian Lin. And this is the Fire Sweep Cancel Affinity build that you've seen me run as well. It looks like, though, that this dude hold a plus speed City Mongolian Lin, so they can run it a little bit better than 9. Oh, actually, no. 39. You know, you strike and kill someone, then you infect their partners, and then they can't kill you on your weakened defense or resistance slots. If you're weak in defense slots, your resistance is good enough to tank a certain amount of archers. But honestly, though, if I'm gonna run this, if I'm gonna run this to tank attacks, I'm gonna use Mula gear instead. But yeah, this is how it is. Fire sweep is very good for attack, and cancel affinity, you will rip people's face off, like Robin's face. Well, he used to stand a chance, but maybe not as much anymore. Actually, I don't know. Robin has pretty high defense, so if he were to use distance defense, he might actually will survive. I actually kind of regret using the fire sweep build lately because it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But now that distance defense seal is a thing, it starts to worry me because now you might not actually be able to stop your intended targets. They might actually be able to survive with like 2, 3, 4 HP or something like that, and then they rip your face off on the next turn. Even attack smoke won't be able to save you, especially since attack smoke is all about spraying into other people. So yeah, that's one of the problem I find with City Mongolian Lin if she runs his fire sweep and without plus speed bonus. But even then, plus attack, plus speed, I don't think that's enough. Either option, I don't think that's enough to stop someone with a high enough defense. So again, there's some sadness involved. Of course, I still have to punch that through a damage calculator down the line to double check on that, but I think I have seen enough of my own damage calculations that it won't be able to stop my units. So if some people start using my builds, then yeah. If I come across something like Magic Ike, I won't be able to put a dent in him no matter how hard I try. Anyway, that's enough talk. Let's go and work on my next dude, Scuttleless, with his plus 10 Pala. Scuttleless really likes Pala, and Pala is a very good unit. With this Iot Shield and Ruby Sword, this horrible creature is gonna Wings of Mercy anything in green and rip their face off. Although it's not as oppressive as some of the other units, Pala really will shut down a good chunk of green units, and I think green units are on the rise because of, Reinhardt, and green units are usually good in general because you have Hector in there, you have Nino in it, you have Sheena, all those wonderful green units, Blanino. Green is a solid color. I come to like green a lot. But then again, all colors are equal, honestly. At some point, there's a balance. But anyway, our friend Scuttleless here does not like archers. So, with Iot's shield and her somewhat workable defenses, 28 isn't like really high on plus 10 average, but it's respectable. You can tank in a couple archer fire. The problem is that her speed, you might... Brayful might be able to kill, but again, 28 is respectable. It might be enough to stop some. I have to, once again, go through a damage calculator to check that out down the line. Right now, I'm just kind of like, oh, I see a build, and I'm just talking about it without going through a serious procedure of running it through a test. But 28 defense, from my researches that I've done with my damage testing, with a build that I'm not going to talk about right now, because it's something I intend to save until I show it later. That build is disgusting, and 28 defense is what she has. Anyway, that's something down the line. I'll talk about that when I get there. Alright, now we have Rardo with 40 plus 10, 4-star though, Sheena. Unfortunately though, this is not the same Sheena that I run, which uses now Slayer's Axe, of course, with dual defenses and distance counter, but even at 4-star, Sheena is a defensive monster. Look at this crap. 43 defense, 37 res, that's out of control, and this is only a 4-star, dude. 4-star. My god, dude, look at these defenses. So she's gonna be, a block of shit that just sits in, the battlefield and just takes hits. And then eventually she takes enough, and whoever struck her last and failed to kill her will enjoy a wonderful Ignis to their face. And that, my friend, on a 43 defense, is something you can't stop. You will die, and you will die hard. Okay, so now next we have Sasaki. Oops, too bad though. Let's see, Hinoka is only 40. But Brave lands, Death Blow, you know, standard stuff. That's always good on Hinoka because she's got higher attack. Her speed is nothing worth talking about, so, you know, it's her best build. Okay, now Makash. Makash also has a Ryoma. This one, though, runs Life and Death. So it appears that this dude would prefer to chop people up. Looks like he's put everything in attack, and he's using Aether for points because he's not using Steady Breath. I guess I kind of like it, but if you're going to use Life and Death and such, I would not do it on something with distance encounter, but Vantage does have the advantage of putting Rajin Dal to use. Otherwise, you know, it's not going to see much use, because Life and Death does cut your defenses quite a bit, and 26-23 is not a safe amount to use as a plus 10 in a plus 10 arena. Still, you know, chop things up, that's what he does. Okay, now we have yet another Ruka. This one, though, okay, I see what their build is. It's disgusting. It's Desperation and Brash Assault. But honestly, if you're gonna do something like that, why not just run it on Churchy instead, you know? But then again, you know, I don't know. Her attack just isn't very high, but still, it's pretty deadly when you have Death Blow and you have Brash Assault, Desperation on. But again, Churchy can probably do it better. Death Panic Ploy, yeah, I would much prefer it on Churchy. Both units have low resistance, though 26 resistance is not as bad as whatever Churchy's has. She's got really low resistance. She's got low speed as well, so these two have that much in common. But instead of, you know, defense, she's got chunks of attack, which puts Brave Axe to more use, especially since you're not going to find yourself at 50% health a lot, unless you, I don't know, take a physical attack, because magic attacks take, well, again, 26 resistance might be, you know, survive certain attacks. Might be enough for Reinhardt as well, but again, I like the idea of being able to deliver death on a 100% health basis. Still, this isn't a poor build, so, you know, it's something to think about. Okay, now we have Stella. Oh, seems our buddy Stella here is using Mei with Darting Blow. I like Mei, but, you know, this build is, whatever, it's stock. It's basic. It's as basic as it gets. You can do double attacks from time to time with 38 speed. It's pretty decent for a non-plus 10 situation. But again, it's nothing really worth talking about. Oh, did you switch to Blade at least? Okay, good. You at least did that. Very good. Okay, now we have Nephi with Nephi. Okay, so here we have something awfully disgusting. I don't know why, though, that they decided to slap Deflect Missile on Nephi, because Nephi already has 38 defense. If anything, you know, I would use something like Deflect Magic to stop the likes of Reinhardt, because 21 resistance puts her in a very tough spot against Reinhardt. But if you were to put Deflect Missile, you might be able to survive. But, Deflect Missile, but Deflect Magic, you might be able to survive. Also, you know, her HP is kind of low, so yeah, Deflect Magic would be what you would need to stop Reinhardt. I don't know if distance defense will be enough to stop Reinhardt either, but again, Deflect Missile, though, completely wasted on Nephi's amazing defenses. Still, I like distance counter on tanky units, so, you know, slaying lands, that kind of crap, that's absolutely disgusting and will rip people's face off if you don't use Aether. This guy, though, unfortunately, decides that, ooh, I want to squeeze out 2 more points for the arena. You know, what's the point of being rank 1 or rank 1000? You know, you all get the same amount of feathers, you get the same amount of orbs, no point at all. In fact, if you're gonna build something like this, you might as well just do it on a tank, do it on a armor unit, because then you can really maximize your scores. But Aether on this without a steady breath, yeah, no good. You won't be able to ever see it proc. Maybe you might see it once or twice if you use infantry pulse, but again, not that good, not that useful, especially since she herself is using infantry pulse. So at most, she's gonna get two buffs. So yeah, she'll probably sit at like 2, and she might be able to use Aether once in a match, but that's about it. It's a little sad. I don't like it. I would prefer to use her standard Moon Bow is good, or you could use Bonfire. That's really good. And of course there's Ignis, but Bonfire should be more than sufficient to rip someone's face off. Archers that are not City Mongolian Lin anyway. But I think she'll survive City Mongolian Lin, and next turn she'll just simply walk over and bash her over the head and cause an explosion. And that'll be the end. Especially Wings of Mercy. Oh my god, dude, that's disgusting. Why don't you slash something like that on Nephi? I would prefer to do quicker pass, but she does have decent speed for a tank. I mean, 42 is really good speed without any modifiers. So Nephi is a solid unit. I really like her a lot. I mean, yeah, her attack and resistance, even her attack is pretty decent now I think about it. It's really just her resistance and health that's kind of low, but she's a solid unit, but you need to watch out for her resistance. I prefer to have some sort of balance with units, especially in today's arena. So if you're thinking about using arena units, you really need to think about Reinhardt and other magic units that can give you a very bad day. Okay, well, that's enough of Nephi and Nephi. Now we have faithful Princess Corinne. Corinne has Fury and Quick Riposte, Fortify, Lightning Breath. Oh, well, you know, this is great and all, but honestly, if you're gonna use Dragon, you must use Steady Breath, but Fury 3 is not bad. Not bad at all on Dragons. But honestly, I don't know. I would prefer to run Nowie. But hey, you know, if you like your units, like this dude right here, then, you know, I can respect that, and you can run a build like this. This is fine. You know, this is perfectly serviceable. This is very powerful build. You know, it's not like the Steady Breath and other crap like that, but, you know, you have your Aether, you have your crap like that, so you can get a decent amount of scores. Unfortunately, though, that Corinne is a standard character, doesn't have the bonus points that the other dragons have, so again, people really stop using Aether on guys like that. Honestly, really, what is 2 points in arena? Really, what does 2 points even matter? Why don't you just run something like Bonfire or some crap like that and rip someone's face off? You know, that would be cool. Aether, you'll never see it proc on a 6. Are you serious, dude? And then you have your resistance, which is 25. And Reinhardt will probably be enough to stop you. I think that's enough damage. But, well, if she goes into a dragon team, though she seems to be the one providing the fortified dragons, although there could be another minion in the team that provide fortified dragons. But then, I don't know, they could also be running a dragon team without Nowie, so there will be two blue dragons. Anyway, you know, enough thinking about what team that's gonna run. And the point is that I respect their build, I respect them, you know, they like their waifus, I just don't respect Aether. Aether is just, ugh, god. Air Raid. So I like this Air Raid character. This Air Raid actually is running, well, pretty much the same build I have for Boobas Rex. Though instead of using Slaying Axe, I run Melons, because, you know, melons. And I crush things to death, and it appears that our buddy here likes to use Attack Ploy to lower the enemy attacks with their decent resistance to tank things a little bit better. So this dude has set Boobas Rex to be a tank. It's cute, I like it, but aside from stopping magic attacks, she's not going to go too crazy. Anyway, oh, I'm running low on battery, so I better hurry up and finish this show soon. Anyway, though, it's okay as a build, but we can do better. I'll show you mine when we get around. So 29-28 is actually pretty solid, and with a 41 speed, she's actually very hard to kill. And with Candlelight just going around and causing people to not be able to counterattack, that actually is really disruptive. And you shouldn't underestimate healers. Yeah, I mean, Lyn is not going to be able to do any damage at all, but she's going to do her job as a healer and as a support. people really need to give support a little more credit than, you know, just, oh yeah, you can't kill in one turn, yeah, whatever. But nowadays, things are a little different. Now that there are these seals like this and defense seals, you might not always kill your target in one shot. You have to think about, you know, surviving yourself, because if you don't one-shot your target, you will be the one who gets one-shotted. Anyway, that's how it is with this, though. I mean, with a support like that, you might even be able to stop, again, like, say you're, okay, so you have a one-hit kill character, but if someone were to counterattack, you die. But with this, well, not going to be an issue anymore. So again, support units, very powerful. You must not underestimate. Frannie with Arvis. Well, we all know what Arvis can do. You slap on Fury on Arvis, and then you give him tons of resistance, and he becomes ploy, 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 ploy. And then everything gets ployed, and, you know, you can use Ardent Sacrifice or seen what my Sephiel does in the wonders of those Dragon Emblem teams and my Armor Emblem teams, so probably don't need to explain much. Distance count, tank things, distance counter, rip their face off with quicker pause, bonfire at the end. Ward armor, he has so much defense. Sephiel is a top tier unit. I don't care what anybody says. I have Burger King, and I don't care. I have Ardent, I don't care. Sephiel is still very, very strong. He must not be underestimated. Unfortunately, though, our friend Yu here is not using their primary unit. This is sad, because Yu actually has a plus 10 Celica, which I would have loved to show, because I actually like Celica a lot. She's really, really hot. I like her a lot. Though I think this Yu is also using plus speed Ragnarok Celica. It's very powerful, but it's also very standard, so really not much to talk about. Okay, now we have P here with Marik Ishtar. Yeah, with his wonderful Grand Raven close counter build. Oh my god, disgusting. I would prefer to use his Excalibur, though, because Excalibur is actually surprisingly deadly if you run close counter. Say you run into someone like Cordelia, say you run into someone like, just about every air unit there is, and Summer Corinne. Their face just... Close counter will rip their face off if they try to attack. If they shoot at range, like Corinne would, they die. Everybody dies. Yeah, Marik is a little underrated. I even think about plus standing him myself at some point. Yeah, his resistance is a little low. Yeah, he's a little slow. But being a mage with that kind of anti-air thing, you really shouldn't underestimate. Although Grand Raven is a good build for him as well. Though, I guess if you don't run Triangle Adapt, you could tank attacks a little bit better from the other colors. Not to mention, if somebody were to run something like, disgusting Triangle Cancellation, then, you're right, I'm at 5% power, I better hurry. Yeah, I know game, okay. Yeah. So yeah, Brido Cordelia, we already know what they do, so really not much to talk about. Fire Sweep Bow, you crush someone to death. If you don't crush them to death, okay, you take 10 extra damage from poison. But honestly, if you're going to use Cordelia, you might as well try to one-shot someone to death. But still, this build is looks like it's set to do damage across the board to everything. You know what, I'm just going to go to a power source and power up my stupid cell phone before it dies on me. Oh, where are you? Oh, where you are. Lay on my bed and power up my phone. There you go. See, now I don't have to run on a time limit. Okay, now I'm only got 2 more units to talk about anyway. Still, I kind of like this. This is kind of fun. I mean, you kill someone, Okay, if you don't kill them, fine. You got a dancer you can use to kill. Or you kill them, and then Savage Blow makes sure that your next targets will have 7 less health for you to eliminate. I mean, if Bridelia doesn't kill someone outright, it'd be pretty damn close. So then you use Savage Blow, and then you finish them off. Remember that talk I have about people surviving with 3 to 4 HP? Well, that will remove the hope of that from happening. And then you have attack plus 3, you know. Why not, right? I mean, 61 attack? Yeah, why not, you know? Why not just completely end someone mercilessly? But I think we can run better than Poison Strike, honestly. Poison Strike, yeah. I think if we had run Affinity Cancel, it would be a really solid build. I would prefer that on Bridelia. Honestly, Bridelia is really strong. I kind of wish I had gotten myself a plus 10. I mean, City Mongolian Lin is really good too, but this, disgusting, man. Come on, why would you do something like that? Anyway, so that's Mo Lord. Now we have Flameless. This dude added me on a friend list because he saw my President Obaro build, and now decides to build his own President Obaro build to show me what he will do. And as you've seen, distance counter, quick riposte, distance defense 3. You're looking at a huge chunk of defense and resistance that you can use to stop all kinds of units. It might just be 40 plus 5 right now, but as you've seen in my various videos about President Obaro, this thing is a defensive juggernaut that can stop all kinds of attacks and rip their face off with either Ignis or Bonfire. Obaro is a solid unit. I have to get her to plus 10 at some point, but I have so many other units I need to get to plus 10 to show you, so we'll leave that for another time. But again, President Obaro, solid unit. You got to try using that with Berkut's lands and plus resistance. It's that good. Okay, finally we have Mista with yet another Bridal Cordelia. This one, well, this one seems to be built on the idea of teleporting all over the place, but still using Savage Blow to end people, rather than using Cancel Affinity. But again, I don't know, man. I would use Cancel Affinity so Robin would get his face ripped off. But hey, you know, it's your choice if you want to run Wings of Mercy and surprise people to death. But honestly, usually you check. You check on what the enemy does, and usually you kill the enemy so that they don't even do Wings of Mercy in the first place. I think Wings of Mercy is a good move, but even now, I mean, it's not all that great. But then again, you know, I did talk about people surviving with 3 or 4 HP, so you might be able to use it to kill like a melee unit or something that got close or something, or I don't know, some other situation on the map where you can teleport to kill someone. But, I still prefer Cancel Affinity a little bit more. If you want to teleport across the map, you want to just hire Boobas Rex with her boobs to carry you across the map with guidance and surprise someone like that. That could also work. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for today's wonderful display of my friend list. I have a lot of fun talking about these units, and I hope that these guys will update their units later for me to show in the near future. Now, let's go and see who won in the voting gauntlet. Today's victor is... Oh no! Taco Meme lost? Really? Oh my god. Okay, well, that's terrible. I didn't even think that would happen. Well, Shana won 3 times in a row. That's absolutely ridiculous. She's actually the champion. I was kind of hoping Taco Meme would be the second male unit to win the voting gauntlet, but it appears that I was wrong, and there are enough people on Shana's team with feathers. So that's all I gotta say. Well, it sucks, but you know what? Shana did surprise everyone by defeating Hinoka, defeating Blanino, and now with Takumi defeated on a fair fight as well. Poor Takumi, he's so done. He is so done. He is so finished. I cannot believe this. I thought he might be able to win, but, well, it would appears that looks can be very deceiving. There are some... he's just not a good character. This is what happens, you know. I know I can count on him and all that, and, you know, no matter what people say about him behind his back, but God, dude, this kid's terrible. Oh no, Taco Meme, you're finished. You're finished. You can't even beat Shauna. Oh my God. Oh. Well, that's his problem, not mine. I mean, yeah, I guess 500 extra feathers would be kind of cool, but, you know, it's whatever. Anyway, so with that and the whole voting gauntlet disasters, congratulations to Shauna, by the way, to completely rape everyone with your stupid multipliers. I hope you all enjoy my little friendless shenanigans and all my rambling about their bills and whatnot, and my little outbursts with Taco Meme, and God, why would you lose? How could you lose? Oh my God. Anyway, so there's that, and I hope you all enjoyed this little show, and I thank you all for watching. I hope I can upload more videos in the near future. Until next time.